everyone. Welcome to the online lecture series on VLSI design. This module is about the design of memories from VLSI perspective. First, let me give a brief recap of what we have discussed in our previous couple of videos. We discussed that the high-level classification of memory elements in digital circuits divides them into two categories. First is the foreground memory, which includes the memory components which are embedded into logic fabric. It includes latches and flip-flop registers. Moreover, we also saw the construction of static and dynamic latches. The static latches and flip-flops are implemented using transmission gate multiplexers and pass transistor logic. The latching mechanism in static logic is realized with the help of a regenerative feedback or bistability mechanism. In dynamic logic, the storage of data is done in the form of charge in parasitic capacitances of transistors. As a result, the dynamic storage elements need a periodic refreshing to maintain signal integrity. Now, in this module, we shall focus on the design of background memory, which includes dedicated block memory units, for example RAM and ROM, etc. So first, a broad classification of background memory is presented. Next, a general architecture of random access memory unit is discussed, and in the third part we shall focus on the design of memory cells for various implementation of RAM and ROM. So let's start. So this is the first broad classification of background memory, which is divided into three categories named as CAM, which stands for content addressable memory, SAM, which stands for serial access memory, and RAM, which stands for random access memory. Serial access memory is further divided into shift registers, which includes serial in parallel out register, parallel in serial out registers, and the other category of SAM is called as Q, which includes first in first out and last in first out register. The RAM is further divided into RAM and ROM. RAM is divided into two categories, which include static RAM and dynamic RAM, and the ROM part is divided into a number of implementation, which include mask ROM, programmable ROM, erasable programmable ROM, electrically erasable programmable ROM, and flash memory. So in this video we shall focus on implementation strategies of RAM, random access memory. This is the general architecture of random access memory, which shows that the memory is organized in the form of an n cross m matrix, where n is the number of location or words which corresponds to the rows of matrix, and m corresponds to the number of bits per word. Now, to access each word of memory, we have two possible options. First, either we can use a dedicated address line for each word, but this has a problem that as number of rows increases, the number of address lines become prohibitively large, which makes the layout design infeasible. So to avoid this problem, we use an address decoder which has log 2 of m address lines at the input and m address lines at the output, and for a given address at the input lines, only one of the output line is activated. So this figure shows the internal organization of memory bits within the memory. The word line corresponds to one row of memory, and whenever a word line is active, all cells that are present in that rows become activated, and depending upon whether we are performing read or write operation, either the contents coming from the bit line B0, B1 and so on. These contents are copied onto the cell, or when we are performing the read operation, the contents are of each cell are copied on its corresponding bit line. And the way these cells are implemented, it corresponds to a particular type of random access memory, whether it is static or dynamic. What is the concept of shared memory? In previous slide we discussed that in order to address a large number of memory words, often an address decoder is used. As a result, the number of address lines to select a word is reduced, but this disturbs the aspect ratio of memory. Now, to have a squared shape memory in the design is often desirable to have an efficient layout. To achieve this, number of words per line is increased, and we have a word selector multiplexer which select one of the many words that are present in each row of the memory. This multiplexer is also known as column selector, and its select signals are a part of the address specified by the user. In order to satisfy the need of large memory words per location, often the memory is organized into blocks. Similarly, the address is divided into various parts. The first part is sent to the line decoder, which activates one of the word lines in all the blocks of the memory, and the contents of these words are given to their. Remember, RAM is a type of volatile memory. It means that the content of this memory are lost when the power is lost. So here we have a number of memory cells which are organized in rows and columns. The word line select all the memory cells which are present in a row, whereas the bit line address a particular cell within each row. So how this memory performs read and write operation? Let's suppose this word line switches to 1. It means that the gate of this pass transistor is on. As a result, the content of this memory cells are passed to the bit line and given as output. Now in the write mode operation, the memory cell is selected by its corresponding word line, and the data to be written to this cell is applied by the bit line. This data is buffered and then applied through the pass transistor into the memory cell. Now the way these memory cells are implemented, it determines the type of RAM memory. So there are basically two types of implementation. One is the dynamic RAM and other one is the static RAM. In case of a dynamic RAM, the memory cell is implemented in the form of a capacitor which stores the voltage between VDD and ground. So when a capacitor is fully charged to VDD, we say that this memory cell is storing 1 bit of information. When the capacitor is discharged to ground, we say that the memory cell is storing 0 binary value. So in a reading mode, the value of capacitor is transferred on the bit line, while in a writing mode, a new value coming from the bit line is forced by a buffer on to the capacitor. The capacitor is implemented in two ways, either with the help of a MOS transistor and the drain capacitance of this MOS transistor act as an actual capacitance which holds the value. Another implementation is in the form of a tranche capacitor. Advantage of this implementation is that it is very compact. When we compare it to the static implementation, we see that one cell of a dynamic RAM is very small as compared to the static RAM implementation. Moreover, this RAM is quick in writing. Whenever we force a value in the capacitor, this value is written quickly, but during a reading mode, the capacitor has some sort of hysteresis behavior. As a result, the reading is comparatively slower as compared to writing. A major limitation of dynamic RAM is that as the voltage value is stored in the capacitor and the capacitor has sort of leakage currents, as a result this value is lost after a certain time period. So to avoid the loss of information, we require a periodic refreshing of memory contents. Now let's talk about the static RAM. In a static RAM memory cell, the bit is stored with the help of a regenerative feedback mechanism which consists of a couple of pass transistors and two inverter arranged in the form of a ring. So in this type of memory implementation, every bit has both the actual and complementary value. The feedback structure maintains the data in memory because of two inverters which confirm the data continuously at the expense of power supply voltage of the inverter. Advantage of static RAM is that there are no leakage currents in this implementation, so as a result it does not involve constant refreshing which was previously required for dynamic RAM implementation. And a limitation is that number one cell of static RAM memory has a larger complexity as compared to dynamic RAM, and static RAM also suffers from static power because these two inverters are constantly being powered. So this was the first part of our discussion on implementation of memories. Here we saw two implementation of memories. One is the static RAM and other one is the dynamic RAM. So in the next video we shall discuss implementation of ROM memories. So see you in the next video.